Hello everyone, my name is Alyan Fiberwala and today I am here again with another very special guest. Today we have the privilege of sitting down with our truly exceptional individual Rex Sikes. Rex is a multi-talented figure out who wears many hats from being accomplished author and actor to renowned trainer and coach. He decided his life to helping others to unlock their potential and life positively and powerfully. So, hello, Mr. X, how are you?
I'm fantastic, and how are you?
That's great. I am also fine. Thank you so much for asking me. First of all, I am very thankful to you for giving me your valuable time for the interview.
Well, thank you, and I'm honored to be here with you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so before moving on a question, can you please introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Rex Sikes. I'm an author. One of my books is Life on Your Terms. It's right there behind me. I'm also a father of two wonderful adult children now, and I have two beautiful girl dogs. I've dedicated my life over 50 years to helping other people uh, transform their lives, their mindset, their attitude to be able to achieve their goals and accomplish their dreams and to live the kind of life that they'd like, whether they from all walks of life. I'm also a filmmaker and an actor, and I work in the entertainment business, and I help and I consult there as well. So I've had a really wonderful, uh, long, in some ways very short, opportunity to help people from all over the world do the kinds of things they want to do and live the kind of life that they like to live.
That's great. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. Okay, sir. So, my first question in your screen, can you tell us about your background and what inspired you to become a positive living and empowerment coach?
Well, I have always it's funny. I've always wanted to do what I do. I from the age of 3, I wanted to be an actor from watching movies with my mother, sitting on her lap watching movies, and I wanted to be a mystic to help people because of the religion I was brought up in as a child from about the age of 6. Now I've managed to accomplish both of those. I help people all around the world, and I am an actor. But primarily, people, it wasn't just the wanting, it was experiences in life. I had a lot of experiences that didn't turn out the way would hope that they had. And for a long time, I struggled with those, and I struggled with my mindset, and I struggled to do things. But I always seemed like I was swimming upstream. I was going against the current. Everything seemed to be a struggle and hard, and some of the difficulties that I had were disasters by most people's um, descriptions. But what I learned was that through those very, very hardship, difficult times was where the opportunity for change and growth and transformation came from. And when I discovered that for myself, I really wanted to help other people be able to get through those same kind of circumstances, but not just overcome difficulty, but also to thrive and to live well and to have a celebrating, wonderful and delightful life.
That's great. Awesome, sir. Wonderful. So, as a father, how has your experience influenced your approach to helping other live their best life?
Well, when I had children, before I had children, I didn't want children. And when my wife at the time said, could we have children? I was like, at a certain point, I said yes, and so we decided to have children. That was the most life changing decision I ever made in my life because I have two, and they showed up 4 years apart, but the idea that I was now had these gifts of consciousness that have come through the universe to land in my household essentially that I got to care for was just an amazing and an incredible responsibility. I mean, anybody can be a father, a biological father, anybody can be a biological mother, but it's another thing to understand how to accept and welcome and invite and receive a newborn consciousness on the planet, and then to try to not screw them up or hurt them or harm them, but to nurture them and to help them make their own decisions and live. And through fatherhood, I've made so many mistakes, and done so many stupid or silly things. But I've also done some good things. And what it taught me was that like when you plant a seed and if you take care of it, like a plant, on your table. If you water it and take care of it and give it the right amount of light, it will grow on its own. You don't grow it. You don't make it happen. You don't do anything. All you do is provide the environment or the nurturing for it to flourish. And the same thing with children is to try to not be in the way and dictate what or who they should be, but to allow who they truly are to come through. And that's a process. And I'm not saying I'm successful in it by any means, or that anybody who practices this has all the goodness in the world happen, or their kids don't have problems, because as I mentioned, hardship and difficulty is like the wind blowing on the trees or the flowers or the storms. Those are the very things that help strengthen the plant. So the challenges, the hardship, the difficulties, the relational issues, all the things that could happen between people are the very things that help people to become better people and to discover who they are so that they can live the life of their dreams and live it on their terms while helping others.
Wonderful, sir. So, what are the key principles or strategies you use to guide individual in living positively and powerfully?
Well, one key principle is celebrate everything, which is my motto. In other words, practice gratitude, have a genuine feeling of gratitude and appreciation for anything that happens to you. Because attitude is the number one predictor for success in all areas of your life. That's whether you want to make money, whether you want to have a family or friends or relationships, it's whether you have good or poor health. Your attitude determines how far you will go and whether you go at all. Because if you don't think something is possible, uh, or that you could do it, you won't do it. So having the right attitude absolutely matters. And then after that, knowing that you can and that you will do something is to celebrate and appreciate everything. And to do this daily, to do this, all of these things are daily practices. Manage your mindset and your feelings so that you feel and think the very best. And then speak only to bless, heal, prosper, inspire, edify, or uplift, and to transform. Don't talk about your problems. Don't talk about your worries. Don't talk about your anxieties. Or if you do it to get rid of it, and then start talking about the blessings and the opportunities. Some people, all they do is talk about what's wrong with the world or with themselves, or they say I'm stupid, or I don't have money, or I don't have, and all that does is to keep them feeling bad and to keep them being the same. Now, if you do that, the important principle is to recognize it and go, oh my God, I'm talking bad to myself, or I'm talking bad about the world. I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to decide to speak differently. I'm going to think differently. I'm going to feel differently. I'm going to move in a different direction. It can be like the springboard or the diving board or the launching pad to change you from what you don't want to what you do want, but you have to be able to recognize it. And when you recognize it, then be grateful for it, because it's an opportunity just like every other opportunity.
Wonderful, sir. Amazing. So, how do you help people define and work toward creating their best life?
Well, great question. You've asked a lot of really good questions. Well, like in my book or my programs, because I do online programs and live events, people from all the world, all over the world attend both online and in-person events, and they read my book. Um, what I just said, you want to learn how to manage your mindset and stop negative thinking or thinking that makes you feel weak or unempowered, or angry or frustrated or fearful or scared or worried, and start thinking those things that make you feel that you can do something, that is possible, that you will do it, and then to develop the certainty that if you do it, you can get the results that you want. Even if you don't actually get the very results you want, you're working towards something. And to understand that as you move forward in life, you're going to get the opportunities to do wrong things and make mistakes. And those are learning opportunities. That's, again, something to be grateful for, because when you make mistakes, it gives you the opportunity to adjust what you're doing and to continue. It's like life is an experimentation. I use the example of the Wright brothers, who were first responsible for airplane travel in a heavier than air, aircraft. And what they did was they were bicycle manufacturers who tried to make an airplane and to get it off the ground. And they were the first to succeed in doing it. But all the while they were trying to do it, they were what people would call failing. In other words, it wasn't working, it wasn't working, it wasn't working. But that didn't stop them. When something didn't work, they tried something else. They did it a different way. They worked to figure it out. And it wasn't until after they first successfully flew that they actually knew how to fly. So you don't always know how to do things. You just have to change things and move things and do things differently until you get the right combination. And that's part of the process. Thomas Edison, who's responsible for the light bulb, said it took 10,000 times to make the light bulb. And people said, we failed 10,000 times. And he said, no, I succeeded in not making a light bulb all those times. So attitude is everything. Great question.
Thank you so much for this wonderful answer. So, sir, in your opinion, what are some of the common obstacles people face when trying to create their best life, and how do you help them overcome these challenges?
Well, again, it goes back to attitude. But for most people, they drag around their past. They have regrets. They're worried, and fears that they keep alive because they think about them. They talk about them. They converse about them at the dinner table or at work. They have a drag around an attitude that doesn't serve them well, and they complain and they whine and they blame and they excuse. And when you make excuses or blame or whine, whether it's blaming yourself or blaming someone else, you're missing the opportunity to change. What you're doing is you're assigning blame for something, but you're not changing anything. To change something, you have to get away from the blame, leave it alone. I tell people it's like if you were to wear every piece of clothing you ever had in your life today, as old as anyone might be, if you wore every piece of clothing you ever had, you'd probably not be able to move. And yet that's what people do. They drag their past difficulties around and their past disappointments and their past things. So you have to stop that, and you have to start focusing on what you can do, what you will do, and then start doing that. And the first place you do it is in your head and in your heart. And from your head and your heart, you then can do that in the real world. And if you imagine a better world, the people who've changed the world the most are the artists, the entertainers, the scientists, the architects, the people who had a vision inside them that they wanted to bring out, whether it was music, whether it was a building, whether it was creating a town, whether it was, some invention. But it starts with an idea. And from the idea, you have to decide that you're going to do something about the idea. So you say, oh, I want to create a chair, for example, and then you go to make the chair. And then you say, well, here's my chair. From there, you can do anything you want with the chair. You can sit on it, you can build more chairs, you can sell chairs, you can help the whole world have chairs. But it started with the first idea.
That's great, sir. So, can you share some of the daily habits you recommended for maintaining a positive mindset?
Absolutely. Well, you can do what I've talked about so far. Practice the attitude of gratitude and catch yourself whenever you say something that is negative or disappointing or frustrating or angry or sad or catch it, notice it, and then shift and say something else. So if you say I am stupid, you say stop, it's not true. I'm actually quite smart. I'm smart enough to recognize I just said that I was stupid. I caught myself doing that. That means I can notice things and I can change things. In other words, I am actually quite smart. And what you do is you start to affirm or assert the things that you want instead of the things that you don't want. People always tell things as if they're true, like I have no money. Well, that doesn't help you get money. To say I have no money, but I can find ways to legitimately, honestly earn money, or I'm creative enough and smart enough to always find ways to be resourceful and to find the right job or the right opportunity. That's you need to steer your mind, because if you're not steering your mind, the mind that you have is steering you. And if you don't like where you're going or where you've been, it's not going to be any different in the future unless you take charge and start steering it where you want to end up. So In the morning, get up, you go, I love my life, and start feeling the joy and gratitude. There's a Bible verse, whether you believe the Bible or not, it says, rejoice, this is the day the Lord hath made. Rejoice and be glad in it. That means be glad in all of it, not just the good stuff, not just the stuff that works out, but everything, whether it works out or doesn't. Because so often what people don't understand is if you take the wrong road somewhere, the wrong path, you see different things. You might actually end up someplace better than where you wanted to go. So, it's the saying is all roads lead to Rome. Some go around the top of the world, some go under it, some go around it, some go through it. But ultimately, you will get there if you make it a point of getting there. So start with a joyful day by talking about what you love about yourself and what you love about your life and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and be glad in that. And then at the end of the day, do that same thing before you go to sleep, so that when you fall asleep with the very best thoughts and the very best feelings and the very best mental review of your day. Don't review the bad stuff, review all the good stuff. Or if there was bad stuff, mentally correct it, change it in your head. Be like you're a movie editor and go, that's not how I wanted it to go. Here's how I would have preferred it to go. And then go to sleep with that. You've edited the situation and you're training your brain. I don't want that stuff. I want this stuff. And by doing that every day and throughout the day, you'll ultimately become the person in charge of your own brain, and you'll live life on your terms. And that's what the book is all about.
That's great, sir. So,
Thank you.
how do you balance your role as a father with your career as a coach?
Well, when my children were young, it was different because they would come to the workshops with me. We had a retreat center. We'd be in hotels, around the world or do things. So they were always with me. Um, but now that they're grown, I don't have the same concerns. They live in different places from me, so I see them whenever I can, or we communicate daily. But when we can be together. But so it's just a matter of balance. Balance. Um, I was very glad that I was able to I've never missed an event of my kids. All their football games and cheerleading and swimming and stuff, I was able to attend because of the way I had structured my life and what I did. And I made them, once they were born, while I had other things to do, they were the priority. My life was bringing, these new people into the world as well as helping other people. And so I found a way to schedule that. And anyone can learn to do that.
Wonderful, sir. So, what lesson from fatherhood have had significant impact on your approach helping other?
Wow. You're always learning, and I'm still learning, from being a father back when my kids were young, and even today when things come up. But I was teaching one of my children math, and I'm no good at math. I don't like math. I could care less about it. I mean, that kind of thing. Not what I want. But they had to have math for first or second or third grade, whatever. I don't remember what year it was that they. And and it was my daughter, and she was struggling with it, and I would go, well, just do it. And she would say, well, I don't know. And I started to get very frustrated, and I started to force her to do it. And the more I forced her, the less she was able to do it. The more that she got upset with me or scared. I mean, there was no threat there, but you know what I'm saying? It was, an adult going, hey, come on, get this, do it. Let's get it done. The more that I pushed her, the less she was able to accomplish it. And then there was a moment at which I stopped, and I suddenly realized I wasn't helping her. I was preventing her from accessing the resources and having fun and learning and the joy that should be there, because I made her getting it more important than her. And what I had to do was stop and go, I need to take care of her and find a way to help her learn it without it being dad wanting something, like I wanted the best for her. There was with good intentions, but the problem was that I lost sight of her in that. And when I realized that, I was like, oh my God, I need to back off. I need to help her have fun and to praise her and encourage her for what she's is able to do, because she's learning it. She doesn't know it. How can I demand that she do something she doesn't yet know? And that's what so often happens for people, in everyday life with their children or at work. You give somebody a task and they don't know how to do it, and they're trying to do the best they can. And then you go, well, that sucked, or that's not good, or that's bad, because you think you know how it should be done, but they've never done it before. Or even if they have done it before, what conditions or what stress or what strain are you putting on them or the relationship by insisting it be done a certain way? Fatherhood was really wonderful in helping me understand that I could be really boneheaded a lot of the times, and that I need to stop. I need to listen. I need to understand where the other person is coming from. I need to accept that and not want that to be different or to change that or think that I'm superior anyway. I need to be humble, and I need to be open for whatever or however they respond. Because if I've injured or hurt them emotionally or mentally in some fashion, I need to be able to stop and apologize, and if they're mad at me, then accept that they're mad at me and take responsibility for what I've done, and then attempt to repair the damage by one, being contrite, promising never to do it again, and then helping them in a new way. And that, in terms of child or coaching or anyone else, all adults who come to us are still like really little children inside. And I don't mean an inner child. I just mean that if you take everybody as a child and understand that we're all innocent at some level, and don't make judgments about them, we're free to see them in a new light and not with our prejudices or biases, and they're free to be who they are without the limitations that we place on them. So, excellent question.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful answer. Okay, sir. So my last question is, for individual looking to create their best life, what advice or recommendation would you offer as a starting point on their journey to positive living and empowerment?
You asked some really great questions. I really appreciate it. This is a great question. You have to start where you're at with what you have. You can't be somewhere else, when you're not. You got to go right where you are. And the very first thing that you have is your attitude and your mindset. So you start with your thinking. There's a saying that a journey of 1,000 steps, 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I've modified that a bit to say that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but that first step is in here. You have to decide to go on the journey. And then here's the important part. When I was a child, my parents would take me on a trip, and I would lie down in the back seat of their automobile, and I would complain, and whine, and I go, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I don't like this. I don't like this." And and that's experience for a lot of people. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people kind of have done that. I didn't want to get there, but I wanted to be there. Well, the important thing about understanding transformation or a destination or a goal or a dream is you could set a goal or a dream, but what if you never get there? Well, you could die along the way, or you could change your mind or do anything. So it's not the end point that's the most important. That the end point tells you where you want to get to, but how you get there is most important, because you could suffer all the way to the end point and then suddenly have a good day and be real happy, or you could be happy all the way there and get there and find out that what you wanted wasn't everything that you wanted or thought it would be. But guess what? You've had a wonderful time getting there, and because you've had a wonderful time, being disappointed in the destination isn't going to isn't going to be that disappointing, because the journey was fun. So it's the attitude that we have that matters most. It's the mindset. It's what we tell ourselves, what we say to ourselves, what we think, what we see, how we feel about ourselves. And I talk about that in the book, because it's about getting from where you are to where you want to be, and it's bridging that gap. So there are exercises, and there are things that you can do, written exercises, or things that you can actually practice, or physical things that you can do inside the book in order to move from where you are to where you want to be, so that you can begin the transformation process. But you always begin it right by accepting, I'm here now. What do I need to do? I need to change my thinking. I need to make it more positive, more, celebrate more. I need to add in more gratitude. And then by doing those things, if you wanted to develop your body like a weightlifter would, and have a really muscular, big body, you have to do a little bit of exercise every day. You have to eat right. You have to sleep right. You have to do it consistently until you got the body that you wanted. So if you learn that, you do some simple little practices that are enjoyable, that help you get to where you want to go, and you do that in a delightful and fun way, and you have a good time with it, then you get there swifter, faster, easier, and with less effort and struggle than otherwise. And that's what life on your terms is about. And that's what I've been teaching people for 50 years. That's the good news is you can change, and it doesn't have to be painful. It can be fun, it can be delightful, and it can be far faster and smoother and more positive than you might even be able to imagine at this moment.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much for giving me your precious and valuable time for the interview. I hope everybody learned something new with your experience, with your talk, with your speech. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time.
Well, thank you very much for your time. You're an excellent host. I really enjoyed this. You've got really thoughtful questions. Not everybody asks, great questions, but you ask great questions and you put some thought into it. I really appreciate that. So thank you for your time and best wishes to you in everything that you do.
Thank you so much, sir. And anyone from Mr. Rex audience who want to give me interview, please inbox me. Thank you so much.
And anyone watching this is free to go to rexsikes.com right there to tell you how you get my book. You even get a free gift when you go. You go and I have a free gift. It's an audio program, an MP3 that you can download on the computer. So it's so go check it out. And if you want to be a guest of Alyan, please take a moment and contact